Hello and welcome to Like It Really Is with Maurice. I am your host. Welcome, 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 welcome. Peace and blessings. All right, let's go. All right, so today we have a great show today. Today we're having a conversation about the war in Gaza. Actually, the conversation starts off with this, right? As you know, there's a lot of killing going on in this country, in Israel and in Gaza. And us as viewers on the other side of the spectrum, we look at this whole scenario and we think that it's tragic. I know for me, when I see the buildings break it down and bombed and, all of these things that are occurring over in this other country, Gaza and Israel, it just brings sadness to my eyes. Now, as we know, Israel was attacked on October 7th by Hamas. And just to let you guys get an insight of what it is, bring him up and we're going to have a conversation. And I'm going to ask him some questions. He's Jewish, of the Jewish descent. And I'm going to ask him some questions, how he feels about the war that's going on. Now, again, it's an unfortunate situation. There's two sides to a story. The people from the Palestinians have a side of the story. Hamas has a side, and then Israel has a side. But this is a war that's transpired for many, many years. It's like to find out how peace will come after all these years. I don't know. It's a little difficult. Anyway, listen, without further ado, I need some conversation here. So I'm going to bring my man, Sholom. He's, like I said, he's of the Jewish diaspora and very knowledgeable of what's going on in Israel. And he also has some family members that's in Israel too. So I want to just have a conversation with him. And so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring in my good friend, Sholom is in the building. Sholom.
Hey, Maurice.
Hey, man.
This is Sholom.
Okay. Now, Sholom, you refuse to show your face for reasons, that you might get attacked or you might have some kind of retribution aimed towards you. Is that so?
This is part of it. I'm really more afraid of what I might do to an attacker, and I don't want to go to prison for it. So I prefer to be peaceful, not show my face, and we'll all get along.
That's it. Well, we had a conversation earlier. We kind of set up everything to, before we even got started. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about, the situation that's going on over in Israel and Gaza, which is it's horrific. I was just telling my viewers that, just to see death like that, coming from both sides, it could be challenging and gut-wrenching. I guess the first thing I want to ask you, right, is first thing, can there ever be peace between Gaza and Israel?
No, there could never be peace between Gaza and Israel. It's never going to happen. I wouldn't aim for it. I would just try to send them elsewhere. It's not going to happen, not from a biblical perspective and not from a logical, secular perspective. And then I have a question about something what you said.
Right. Okay, go ahead, ask.
But when you're ready, okay. You said that there's death on both sides. So I'm going to tell everybody right out that I believe the two sides are not equivalent to each other. Have to let that be known. But I'm honest about it. So
No, I
my
like that.
question to you, thank you. My question to you is: you said that one side, you said that both sides have a lot of loss of life. Did you say something like that or something similar to that?
Yeah. There's death on both sides. Yes, there's
Okay.
death on both sides. Yes.
So other than the actual terrorists that were killed inside Gaza,
hmm
who was killed? How many civilians were killed? Do you have a number?
You talking about the people? Well,
Yeah,
10,000.
and if you don't know, it's okay, but or you
I
can
have
tell
a
me where
number.
you heard it from. I don't
I do
care.
have a number.
Okay.
Actually, from Reuters, they said that it's estimated that 10,000 people were killed in Gaza, and maybe 1,500 in. Well, I would say 1,500 would probably be the first blast. I wouldn't. I'm not counting all the other rockets that have probably shot over to Israel as well.
Okay.
But they do say 10,000 people have been killed over in Gaza. Yes.
So the whole problem is Reuters gets its information from Gaza, from Hamas. So you don't know if the information is correct or incorrect. Hamas has been caught in lies. They've been using humans as shields. They've been using Palestinians as shields in their mosques, in their hospitals, and in their schools. Some people will say, no, that's not true. Well, you can say that it's not true, but there's videos of it floating all around, and it shows and documents all the ammunition being launched from those sites that I just mentioned. And besides that, there's actually under the hospital a large amount of ammunition, military, army people, rocket launchers, RPMs, you name it, diesel fuel. It's all underneath
Underneath, I heard
one of
that.
a couple of the hospitals there. So anybody who wants to refute that, just really look at the videos. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, no. I definitely heard that. I heard that they stockpiled gasoline and different. They even have the hostages under there too as well in these tunnels.
They're
Uh,
probably under a tunnel. That's what's going on. That's what's going around through the grapevine. The terrorists themselves, some of them who've been captured, there's a report that there's anywhere from 500,000 to 1 million liters of diesel fuel in those tunnels,
right.
as well as first aid kits, medical supplies, and water and food.
Let me just let the viewers know exactly who you are. Not who you are, but let me just ask you, what nationality are you?
I am Jewish. I practice Judaism in a traditional way, a little bit more than traditional, I guess. I'm a little more observant than most, but I'm not Hasidic. Um, I am very familiar with all different types of Jews: Sephardic Jews, Ashkenazi Jews, Black Jews, which are part of the Sephardic community, and I'm familiar with many different customs in Judaism.
So you have a far extensive. Your family is Jewish, and your parents are Jewish from I guess from Israel.
My family was kicked out of Israel in the ancient days, and then they had to migrate. So there was something called the Exodus, and
hmm
through the Exodus, people migrated to Spain, and some stayed very close to Israel. Some stayed in the Middle East, like Yemen and Syria, Iraq, Egypt, and other people migrated to Spain, and then mostly from that area they migrated to Europe. So
Right.
my ancestors migrated from most likely Spain and then to Kiev, which is in the news a lot because you see Ukraine, and that's where they migrated to.
Yeah, I've had this question before asked to me, or something said to me, that Palestinians are actually Jewish people. Is that true? Are they
Well,
Jewish?
that's a great question. There are actually There were Palestinian Jews. I don't know if there's any more of them alive, but some of the original Palestinian Jews were prime ministers of Israel and leaders of Israel, like Golda Meir. She was Palestinian. Ariel Sharon, he was Palestinian. Uh, Moshe Dayan, he was Palestinian.
Right. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yasser Arafat, did you ever hear that name?
Of course.
Guess what he was?
I don't think he was Palestinian though.
You're a genius. Actually, he wasn't.
He wasn't. If I'm not mistaken, he was from Iran or from another
That's close. That's very close. I know he was Egyptian. I forget where he was born. He
Right.
could have been born somewhere else, but not in Israel or anywhere near in Judea, Samaria, or the area known as Palestine according to British mandate. But he was from Egypt.
Mm. So I guess I asked a question about will there ever be peace? Um, they
I
have.
say no. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So you're saying there can't be peace, um, which leads me to believe that this is a little bit more deeper than an actual war, a fighting war. Maybe is it more like a religious war? Is it a religious war where when I say that I'm saying is it a battle between Christianity and Islam? Because we know that that has been a fight for centuries. They've been going. There's been a dissension, uh, I guess, on whichever side. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, and I wouldn't be too judgmental and say that it's a religious war. I think that Israel got along and gets along very well with its Arab neighbors. Not all of them, of course, but they were getting along so well with Saudi Arabia. There was about to be an agreement between them, a peace agreement. They
Right.
already do lots of business there. They do. Israel has their products inside of Kuwait. They have products inside Saudi Arabia, and they want to do even more business. They want to do all kinds of things together. They want to make a pipeline going through the canal and so forth, the Suez Canal. They really do get along, and I'd say that the Arabs are close to us Jews. They are our cousins. The
Right.
problem is who are the Arabs, and the Palestinians are not really Arab. I want you to know that they're not. They may have a small, minute trace of Arab in them, but they're not Arab.
So what you're saying is that Hamas is the actual Arabs. Is that what you're saying?
Nope. Hamas. They people call them Arab. There's some minute trace of Arab in them, but they're not the true Arabs. Our cousins who we get along with, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, they're Arab.
Mm.
Those are our Ishmaelite cousins. There were two brothers, right, in the Bible. If anyone ever read it, I'm not going to go too deep into the Bible, but there were two brothers. There were Ishmael, sons of Abraham, Ishmael and Isaac, Itzhak. So these two brothers were both blessed, but they went different ways.
Right.
So there's all kinds of problems with the quote unquote fights between Jews and Arabs. But are they really Arabs? Maybe years ago
Right.
there were problems with them. I'm talking about with Saudi Arabia. They were funding terrorism and things like that. But now they actually get along really well, like the cousins that we are. I,
Right.
I respect Arabs, and I also respect the religion of Islam. I don't have any problems with it. I just don't believe in their ways.
Right.
I have no problem. I have no problem with it. I don't think it's a religious war is the answer.
right. Do you feel? Oh, okay. So that's great. I'm glad you said that
I don't think it's a
because
religious war. I think that
wait,
I,
wait, wait,
okay.
wait. 1 second. 1 second. When I say religious war, I'm just saying that there's been a dissension, like I said, between Christianity and Islam for a long time. I've known that for a long time, and so that's why I asked that question, just to see what you feel about that. But Gaza people that they say they lived there first in Israel, right? And do you think that it's fair that they're being kicked off their land, or they're not able to go back to their land?
Well, whose land was it first? They
But
were living there, right? Uh, so we had these. I'm going to call them mythical Palestinians because there's no such thing as Palestine. So they were there. These people, there was no Palestine. Okay, we got to go back a little bit, just a little tiny bit.
okay,
134 A.D.
that's not
Right.
far.
That's pretty bad. That's back.
Yeah,
So there was a king,
right.
king of Rome. His
Okay,
name was Hadrian. Okay, so he hated the Jews, and there were many people that took over Israel, many different groups that don't exist anymore. But among them was the Roman king Hadrian, and he named the land Judea into quote unquote Philistines. He
right,
called it that. Okay, he just did that to infuriate the Jews that were there. They were there first. There was no such thing as Palestine, and that was in 134 AD.
right,
Then all kinds of groups took over Israel. The Greeks took it over. The Ottomans took it over. The Turks took it over. But there were no Palestinians until they started calling themselves a people back in 1964. They invented the word Palestinian as a people. There was a British mandate somewhere in the 1800s. I don't know the year. And they called the territory Palestine because they were referring to what Hadrian named it, the Philistines. So they called it Palestine. So in 1964, Yasser Arafat invented a people called the Palestinians. There is no Palestine inside the Quran. You ask any devout Muslim if there's a word that says Palestine in the Quran, it doesn't exist. So it has nothing to do with like a religious war. The word Palestine doesn't exist even once in the Torah.
right.
But in the Torah, the word Israel, it exists over 500 times.
But okay, so let me say this. Let me ask you this. Now, knowing that there's a problem, issues that are happening in Gaza, and then we look at Israel as a state or as a country, and we notice that I'm hearing that there's dissension within Israel, with the people of Israel, with each other. I'm hearing that they're fighting against each other in Israel too as well. Is that true? Right before this bombing, this attack occurred, I heard that there was problems in the government. A mayor, Israeli mayor, was refusing to uh, agree to some of the uh, new rules that were set. Do you know anything about that?
All I know, there was disagreement in the government, and some people didn't even want to call in for their duty as far as the military went. So Hamas had some inside information on it. I think it was pretty public. Not only they knew, and they took advantage of that weakness, but also they planned the date out.
But I heard that this was way before the fight. I heard that the government was in this. They had a lot of dissensions.
Thousands of left-wing and national religious protesters came together on Tuesday night in Beit Shemesh to rally against the attacks on the Orot Girls' School and the general rise of ultra-Orthodox extremism.
And we think that Beit Shemesh has become an example for the rest of the country of the extremist elements asserting themselves, the authorities letting them assert themselves both on a political and police level. And it's time for all of us to unify together and put a stop to it.
Local extremists have been verbally assaulting the students of the new Orot Banot Middle and Elementary School since the beginning of the school year. But the issue received renewed national attention over the past week when media outlets uncovered a few incidents of protesting men spitting on the schoolgirls. Dov Littman, one of the organizers of the anti-extremism rally, called on the police in Beit Shemesh to make arrests by the National Religious School.
Then they started moving the demonstrators, for lack of a better word, out of the way, and that was good, but we want the police to arrest them. We think that if somebody comes and screams anything at anyone, doesn't matter to me if it's a religious Zionist girl or an ultra-Orthodox girl or a secular girl, that is a level of violence in our minds, and they should be arrested immediately for it.
ראש העיר קורא למשטרת ישראל לאכוף את החוק ולהעמיד את אותם עבריינים מאחורי סורג ובריח. עם זאת, צריך לא להוציא את הדברים מפרופורציות. בסופו של יום בבית שמש אין קרבות רחוב, חיים פה בשלווה ובהרמוניה 100,000 תושבים מכל החוגים.
Yocheved Bienenstock's 6-year-old daughter, Ora, attends the Orot Banot school. Yocheved says her level of fear has gone up since hearing about the recent incidents.
I haven't been nervous, no. I'm not nervous about sending her, although now that I'm hearing more stories about attacks, it is scary.
Speaking that same day in Jerusalem, Prime Minister Netanyahu said he instructed police to arrest the perpetrators of the attacks on the schoolgirls. Benjamin Spear reporting for the Jerusalem Post.
In agreeing with a lot of different things. Now, there was an issue that did come up, and there was a question I asked you earlier. I said, I'm hearing that there's racism towards Black people in Israel. Is that true?
I'm going to address the racism question, but I got to back up just a little bit, if I may.
Okay.
May I? Okay.
Yeah.
They were going to attack sometime before the summer. Was the original plan for the attack?
Right.
Do you know what happened? Do you know what happened between then? Iran got a sweet package deal.
Right.
They did not want to attack until it cooled off. They wanted to get their billions first. I think it was, I don't want to say the wrong number, but it was in the billions.
Yeah, it was.
So things cooled off. They took the money first. They were going to attack before that, but they said, you know what? Let's take the money. Let's get it in our hands. And then they planned the attack. They said, okay, instead of attacking now, we'll pick a date of the anniversary of the Yom Kippur War. And they chose that date. But going back to the racism question, no, there is no racism in Israel. I was in Israel and I saw the Black Falashan Jews, also known as Ethiopian Jews, getting along like brothers with white Jews and olive-skinned Jews all together in harmony, like ebony and ivory.
פגשתי אותך, הייתי אז בחור פשוט קצת סגור, קצת מסובך, עדיין לא ידעתי את הדרך בה אני אלך, וכבר אז רצה ליבי לבקש, אז לקחתי את עצמי והתחלתי...
Israel performed one of the largest acts of humanitarian aid ever by saving Ethiopian Jews through various rescue operations. As the homeland for Jewish people, Israel strives to create an egalitarian society for all of its diverse citizens.
It's the first time that the Western country can take people from Africa who are not for slavery.
For thousands of years, Ethiopian Jews were cut off from the rest of the Jewish community. After a Soviet-backed military coup, life in Ethiopia for everyone became even more dangerous and difficult. Once Ethiopian Jews became victims of genocide and starvation, Israel rescued them to prevent another Holocaust.
First introduction in 1821. And since then, we have been struggling to get this group to Israel. When I arrived in Addis Ababa, it was at a crucial point where the Jews have left their villages, their property, their house, and they marched to Addis Ababa.
After seeing their poor standards of living, Asher instigated numerous operations to save the well-being of Ethiopian Jews.
I went there, and the country looks miserable, very poor people. And they were under a dictator that was fighting for his life. And there were 26,000 Jews in Addis Ababa who were knocking at the door of the Israel embassy, say, take us to Jerusalem, because the Bible said so. We are waiting for the big bird to take us from there to Jerusalem.
From 1981 to 1988, Israel carried out various operations such as Solomon and Moses, bringing over 120,000 Ethiopian Jews to Israel.
First part of the operation was rescue of the Ethiopian Jews through the ocean, and later it actually transitioned to operation through an aerial lift of lifting them through jumbo jets and Hercules airplanes back to Israel.
The Ethiopian Jews faced many obstacles upon their arrival to Israel.
I think that every time that a young country like Israel, that have a multicultural country with many languages, many culture, many religion, trying to adopt one more ethnic group or immigrants group that come from different country, different culture, different language. It is very difficult.
Came in 91 in Sholom operation, so being in the Air Force was for me a very big circle closing and saying thank you for the Air Force, which without them we wasn't here. So it was very important to me to be in the Air Force.
The biggest contributor to this Israeli culture is through the army. Why the service of the army is so important? Why? Because it's the only place where youth from all walks of life serve in the same place. In the army, they are all equal.
I think that for us, especially because we came from Ethiopia, it was a good opportunity to show the people who we are, what we have, to show them our cultures and learn from different cultures.
The transition to modern Israel was difficult for many Jews accustomed to living in primitive villages in Ethiopia.
Other Ethiopians who came in a little bit older ages, so I think it's kind of hard because the language is very, very different and mentality is different.
Cultural shock, everything, white Jew, the first time to meet white Jew, and the food, the weather, everything is new, everything. Even, the name of people. It was terrible to come to school and to see, first time white people, and you are the only black in the class and stuff like that. So first it was very difficult to get used to that, but after a while I feel more Israeli than everyone else, very proud of that. You realize that even though that the difference is a very big gap between a third world country to Israel, but now I look back and first, I'm glad that we did that. I mean, I'm glad that we are here, and I'm sure that you both feel the same, right?
Yeah.
The only one rabbi, he agreed to marry Ethiopian Jews, but now it's changed. It changed, and I believe the next generation will be changing everything. Different cultures. You put them together, and sometimes you fight, and sometimes you feel different or something like that, but it's worth it.
I think that it will happen, and I hope so, because when you become so close to the Israelis, when you kind of forget from where you come from. You forget your language and traditions, but it's sad, but it's a good thing, because you have to get along.
My message is we should not depart from what we're doing. We should continue to be example.
Despite the many adversities that the Ethiopian Jews faced, they were able to persevere and integrate into Israeli society.
I'm a journalist, and I'm a director of Israeli radio program, Channel 1. I became the first, not only Ethiopian, the woman in this position. I have Ethiopia's friend in Canada or US. They feel they are immigrant. I came to here for rest of my life. I came to here for Jerusalem. We pray to Jerusalem. I'm here. I'm very happy. I know it's not easy, but I'm very happy. I'm here.
Many Ethiopian Jews have achieved great successes in Israel. They have become leaders in the army and serve as members in the Knesset. It is clear we are just now seeing only the beginning.
So what is the deportation? So there's a deportation going on, a deportation, sorry.
Yes.
And so is that like a security reason, or is that why are they deporting the black people, the Israelites? I'm hearing the Israelites are being deported.
Yeah, so what I think you're referring to are the people that migrated illegally across the borders. They came to Israel from a different part of Africa. I don't know the name of the country in Africa where they came from.
Right.
And they're a darker people, and they entered through the border, and they thought that Israel was just going to let them go there. They didn't come into the country the right way.
Right.
Not like here in America, anyone can just walk through the Mexican border these days. But over there,
I mean, usually you can't do that. Usually,
no, they could do it if they apply the right way. They can come in there.
Yeah.
But these people were of color, and they were from a country in Africa, and they just, for security purposes, they just said, no, we're not going to have this.
Right. So there's no racism inside Israel towards black people at all.
I will say no. My sister's family, one of the brothers is from her husband's brother is from is of a Tunisian Jewish descent. There were many Jews in Tunisia,
right,
and half Moroccan, half Tunisian. He's married to an Ethiopian Jew, a Jew of color, who people in America would call a black Jew.
Right.
So,
right. Gotcha.
I broke bread with them, and they're just like family, like anybody else. I don't see them being treated any differently. I consider them like family. I love them. They love me. Seem like I didn't see any incidences of racism. I saw people all over the streets of Israel of different colors, in Jerusalem and Ashkelon and Ashdod, of different colors. And I did not see any problems. I'm sure there could be a cultural problem here or there. I didn't see any, but if anybody who's different could potentially have a problem, but I saw nothing but harmony.
Right.
And the way they treated me like gold.
Well, that goes into my next question. Have you ever been to Israel before?
Yeah, I was in Israel back in 2019. And the people there that were of color treated me like gold, like I was a brother of theirs.
Nice.
I flew there. I went to Turkey, and then I went to Tel Aviv, and then I stayed in Ashkelon, and also visited Jerusalem and some other parts. I visited mostly like holy areas.
Oh, nice. This question has always been coming up, because the government is thinking about a resolution to this whole situation, making this a two-state solution. What do you think about a two-state solution?
I think a two-state solution will never work. They've been offered two-state solutions 4 or 5 times in history. They were given tremendous land opportunities. I don't think this is about land. I think it's just about them hating Jews. It's good versus evil. We were supposed to wipe 6 different nations out when we entered Israel back in the Bible, there were 7 different nations. Could you imagine that? We were supposed to wipe them out. I wonder if we wiped them all out, if this is just a remnant, but we were warned that the 6 nations, if we let them live, will be thorns by our side. This is in Exodus 20, and you could read it in 23:31. I'm not going to read the whole Bible to you, but if someone wants to reference it, I have my Bible open. 23:20, Exodus 23:20, and Exodus 23:21. It talks about how the Jews entered from. Remember, the Jews were in. You ever see the movie The 10 Commandments about Moses?
Right.
So after that time, after a certain amount of years went by, they entered the land of Israel, and the Jews were told to slaughter, just annihilate 6 other nations that were there. He said, take the land, don't fear them, I'll be with you, the land is yours. And that was our first experience going in there. We were supposed to get rid of them. I have a feeling we didn't get rid of them all, but then again, I think of the days of Noah. You remember the story of Noah and his ark?
Right.
You know, there was this big flood, and God got rid of all the bad people. That's why he made a flood, right? To get rid of the bad people. Noah was the good guy and his family. And so
Right.
so the world was destroyed, except for maybe a couple giants may have survived. So going back to that, it's like, how did all the evil people survive in this world? It's good against evil. How did this come about? The world is supposed to be good after Noah's flood, right? So I heard a commentary. Someone said it was one of the wives had some evil in her, like she came from an evil family, and the genes carried on, and then we had evil again. That's just a commentary I heard. It's just kind of interesting.
No. I mean, the story is that Moses. This is what they're saying, that Moses went up to collect the 10 Commandments, and while up there, people were partying and sinning and
Yes.
and all kinds of different things, fornicating and homosexuality and all kinds of stuff. Praising gold and just a whole lot of stuff going on. And I guess from the Bible, it says that God smited them.
Yeah,
Now,
those people were killed. They
right.
were punished and they were killed.
Now, that part where Noah, came in, wasn't that the 40 days and 40 nights when it rained?
Yes, it was.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I guess that was a cleansing. God was just cleansing the earth.
He was cleansing the earth. And the question is, did the earth really get cleansed? We've seen so much evil in the world. We've seen the Spanish Inquisition. We've
Right.
seen we've seen Egypt. We've seen Egypt, what the Pharaoh did to the Jews, made the Jews slaves. Then we saw the Spanish Inquisition, and we saw the Holocaust. Then we saw this new Holocaust that happened. It's the same as a Holocaust. The things that they did, they burned little babies in ovens, and then they decapitated babies, they decapitated men. They took a shovel and hacked the guy's head off and burnt an elderly lady who was a Holocaust survivor, lit her on fire because she couldn't come with them. She was too old to come with them. They also used weapons that are unheard of. They used grenades that heat up to 3,000 degrees, and they threw them in the bunkers. There were kids at the concert hiding in them in bunkers. They threw many grenades, and this one young adult picked the grenade up and threw them back. They didn't yet go off, but there were about a few that detonated, and the kid had a stump. His arm came off, and then he put a tourniquet around his stump, and they took him hostage. Nobody knows if he's alive or not.
And that's a very sad situation, man. Do you know anyone that has been kidnapped in this situation today?
I only know of one person who's acquainted with a close friend of mine, And the close friend of mine put on an event, and they invited the community to this event. It's a bread bake. In the Jewish community, we call it a challah bake. So they prayed and said the names. Many different rabbis said the names of this particular girl. Her name was Anna. And or maybe it was Anne. It could have been Anne, same thing.
Right,
And they
right.
prayed for her, and they also brought a Torah inside Anne's house in Israel. And they said blessings in the house and brought the Torah into the house. And sure enough, she was the first rescued hostage, this girl, Anna. Her mother cried. Her mother said blessings while she cried. She made challah bread in Israel, and they said blessings here, right in my hometown, for this girl. The whole event was dedicated to Anne, for the release of Anne.
Now,
And,
how did
she was rescued.
Okay.
She was, by the way, she was not a negotiated release.
Right.
She was a rescued release. In other words, they went in there, fought, and rescued her. Took some guys out and rescued that girl. So the power of prayer, it could be very powerful.
No, for real.
Could be very strong. Yeah.
No, I'm glad she got out without a problem, man.
Yeah, thank God. But do I know anyone that's been affected? Only my friends and family that live there. My in-laws live there, and my friends live there. First of all, like Ashkelon, it's a horrible thing because they have to. They're spending a lot of hours inside bunkers. They don't sleep. They have to live in a bunker, so they can't be in their house. A bunker is either in the hallway, because I was at their house. It's in the hallway of the building.
Right.
And some people have different bunkers that are below ground. Some people have bunkers that are separate from the building. But it's a pain because you have to live underneath a certain section. And there's no luxury to it. It's in a hallway. I mean, can you imagine living in a hallway just to stay protected?
Well, I mean, listen. I mean, it's a lot, and it's we don't see war here too much at home, and I think that a lot of people have been kind of complacent and thinking that we're untouchable, but just by seeing the destruction over there, it's like it's some serious stuff going on. But like you said in the beginning, you said there's no way that there's going to be peace.
No way there's going to be peace, not while they're given a piece of land next to Israel. They have to go to a land that's further away from Israel. Now, nobody wants them. That's the problem. Egypt does not want them. Now, they're both the same religion. They're both close in the Arab makeup. They don't want them. Jordan does not want them.
Is it because they're poor? Is that what it is? Is it because they're poor?
No, not because they're poor.
Right. And we're talking about
a lot of them become successful when they leave that country. They become very successful. The ones in America, they open businesses up, and they do well for themselves.
So why doesn't anybody want them?
Because they form gang activities. Because they get together in packs, and they engage in criminal activity in every country that they're involved in. That's why.
Wow, that's deep. So I mean, like I'm hearing that Israel is going to embed themselves in Gaza. How would that play out? I mean, does that sound like it's a good thing to do?
Well, they're already in Gaza. They have a whole section cornered off, circled. They have the circumference of a very wide area, almost all of North Gaza. So they have complete control of it. They blew up hundreds of tunnels, and there's more to go. They're not all.
Yeah. So this exit is still 4.5 meters down the surface.
So they had never penetrated that exit all the way to the surface?
Because if they would penetrate, once you have rain, it can collapse.
There was a whole underground network underneath Gaza. By the way, the Jews left Gaza back in 2008. They wanted to give the Palestinians, mythical ones, a chance.
Right.
And as soon as they started living there, it was nothing but chaos. It was nothing but missile after missile after missile. Thousands of missiles. They must have fired 10,000 missiles or more.
Towards Israel.
I think they have, I don't want to say the wrong number, but they have a large capacity of missiles, and many were shot over Israel. There's probably missiles being shot right now. Maybe there's a little less of them because Israel has more control over the Gaza area. They are aiming many more missiles from the Lebanon area, Hezbollah, which is controlled by Lebanon.
I mean, that's a situation right there. If this sparks into an issue, right, and Lebanon gets involved and all these other countries on the outskirts gets involved, that I think that's going to be tough. What do you think?
I think that Israel won the last war, the Yom Kippur War. They had about 5 different countries that tried to kill them, and you see what happened. You see they survived. There were many. They suffered a lot of casualties, and it was not an easy war. And they're going to do it again. They're already doing it again. A lot of people speak negatively. They say, "Oh well, America can't get involved because we're stretched too far. Because we're helping Ukraine, we're helping Israel is too much." And then people are saying we don't have enough people in the army. We don't do this. We don't do that. It's too hard. We don't have money. The economy is bad. Inflation.
Well, one thing that's for sure is that, that as an African American, right, in this country of the United States,
yes,
there's not a lot of money allocated to the homeless, not a lot of money allocated to housing. And it seems like that every time that we ask for money for those issues, they don't have the money. But when something happens, they now all of a sudden they have the money, billions of dollars to give away. So I think that, is one of the things that people feel,
I agree with that sentiment. And I think that people don't know where a lot of the money went. They seem to think that all our money is going to Israel. Israel is a small part of the money. Yes, we do give money.
Yeah, between Ukraine and Israel,
Yeah.
Look, I can go outside right now. I'm in New York City. I not in front of my building, but down the block in the park, there's people that are sleeping there. Mental illness is rising in our community. People are starving. For the food, they don't have enough food. People can't get a job. There's mistreatment of the police. There's just a whole gamut of different things that people are on child support, right? Because they have, and child support is sticking it to them when they had a drug addiction, right? And they don't give them a second chance. So they keep foot on neck, right? You have to pay that money, So when we look at these kind of situations, I'm not saying that's going to child support and money and supporting, but the thing is that what I'm saying is there's a lot of change that's necessary here. And that's what people are saying.
Well, I agree with that 100%. And I think a lot of the money that went to Iran, the billions, first Obama gave 150 billion. Remember that? He stacked up cash on a plane and gave it to Iran. Then we gave Iran billions more recently. I guess it was sometime during the summer or before the summer. It was recent this year.
Right.
Then we gave Ukraine. And we're giving everything. We're giving money to greenhouse energy. It's too much. We need to start taking care of people here at home. Do I think that we should not give money to Israel? No, I think we should support Israel because they're our only ally in the Middle East. But I don't think the majority of the money went to them. I think a small part of it went to them. I think we should take care of people at home and not let them live on the street. not let California be like it is, Manhattan be like it is. They should be provided with rehabilitation programs, job programs, let them get back up on their feet, let them get to work. And also don't deny people who've been put in prison or jail. Don't deny them jobs as well. They deserve jobs. It's not fair to them. If they did their time, let's say they did a crime and they did their time, don't deny them
There's no
work
second
because they
chance.
got a criminal record.
There's no second chances here. There's no that they don't. I mean, you might get a second chance and you might get lucky, but there's so many other people that are falling, by the side. And like I said, for an example, the systemic racism that occurs in this country, with that's already been embedded, that we're trying to fix, and so I mean, we have issues, and so it's, we start to wonder. One second, excuse me. We start to wonder what's really important, But and I'm not saying that Israel is we like I said, Israel's our allies. We fight together. We come together. The America and Israel. You know, um, but there is a lot of money just being allocated for all different kinds of situations, even for floods and all kinds of devastating events. But there's not enough money for the issues that are plaguing our community. And then what you see is people going about their business with all this money in their pocket, and they feed them crumbs. Here, take a crumb.
There's no doubt that when we gave money to Ukraine, Zelensky pocketed a lot of the money. There's not a doubt in my mind. It's corruption to the fullest extent.
Well, I mean, we don't know that for a fact because we are not there.
I only know it for a fact because I know he has like a mansion in each country, each city. He has a mansion in Miami. He has mansions around the world. I forget the cities, but I'll look it up and let you know,
Yeah.
offline.
Yeah. So, I mean, we almost finished with this, but let me just ask you another question. Palestinians feel like this war is a genocide, and it's killing of kids and women and stuff like that. What's your take on that? Is this a genocide? Are they, because what they're saying on the news? They're saying that yeah, they attacked everybody. They killed maybe 1,500 people, 200 people, but that compared to the 10,000 people that they're killing in Gaza, and they just continuously keep bombing them and bombing them. What's your feelings about that situation?
I feel the mythical Palestinians constantly complain that there's a genocide. From day one, they shot the rockets. And you know what happened? Their population more than quadrupled. They started with a much smaller amount. I think it was 600,000, but I can't give you the year that was.
Right.
But they're up to about like 2 million or something, 2.2 million in Gaza, plus like hundreds of thousands of others in the West Bank. I don't know if it's more than that. There's definitely no genocide. They have more than what they started with. Are they killing people now, dropping bombs on them right now, killing civilians? It goes into depth. Don't put civilians. Don't put your rocket launchers, your ammunition, your terrorist tunnels, your diesel fuel, your RPGs next to civilians. I can show you a video of a mosque where they're shooting artillery out of a mosque. I can show you a video of artillery under the hospital, soldiers, bunkers.
No, they are,
weapons of mass destruction underneath those tunnels, underneath the hospitals.
They're shooting from the tunnels too, as well. They're
So
definitely
it's shooting from the tunnels. So Israel is the only country who actually goes. They warn people before they shoot them. They call everybody on their cell phones. I don't know if anyone knows this, but they call hundreds of. They call. I can't give the number, but they call a massive amount of cell phones in the area. I don't know how they do it, but they're clever. They let them know that the building is about to be bombed to vacate it. Not in the history of any war has anyone given someone forewarning before they bomb a building. If England did that, imagine like World War II. We're fighting the Nazis. Do you think England sent messages to the people of Nazi Germany saying, move out of your buildings, we're about to bomb them? Nope. Those were real casualties. So are there casualties? I don't know, because the numbers that you're hearing are coming from Hamas. And Hamas tends to spew a lot of lies. Hamas said that Israel blew up a hospital. It's been proven on video that Hamas blew up the hospital. Their rocket malfunctioned and went into the hospital.
Well,
So
also, I mean, also we got to look at their weaponry, their weapons. Like I've seen some of their guns; they look like muskets.
Okay.
They look like old muskets, and they don't really have that technology as Israel has. But the Palestinians also feel that Israel controls a lot of Gaza, the water, the food, the electricity, and the jobs. And Gaza people and Palestinian people say they don't have any jobs. I noticed that they have to go across this like checkpoint in order to get into Israel. Um, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like there's um, a mistreatment of Palestinians when it comes down to work, food, water?
I'm going to talk about the subject of mistreatment. I got to backtrack slightly just to the muskets. Look at the pictures of the concert and the houses where they on October 7th, that horrible massacre day.
Right.
Look at the pictures on the houses. The pictures of the houses. You'll see they were machine guns. They were not muskets. There were holes all over these houses. They shot into the houses, and they shot children through doors and walls. They shot women, men, everybody right in their house, right through the walls, until every last one of them was dead.
Oh.
They have some serious artillery. There's no shortage of guns. They get funded very well from
That don't
Tehran,
look like
from Iran.
That don't look like a musket in that picture I'm showing. That looks like a straight up machine gun.
They have lots of machine guns, and like I was saying before, they have grenades that heat up to 3,000 degrees. They threw it into the bunker, and this young adult that I was telling you about, it blew off. He picked a bunch of them up and threw them back, but 3 of them went off, and it blew his arm off. This was probably a regular grenade, because he would have been disintegrated with the 3,000 degree grenades. But they have grenades that go to 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right. What's the future of Israel right now? Like, what do you think the future of Israel will be in the next 5 years?
I think Israel will be victorious, and it will be bigger, better, safer. Going back to your question, the question of you were asking about employment. Is that what you were asking about?
Yeah, I did.
Being able to travel and things like that.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, what is the situation with that? Like, I mean, there's a lot of people that are saying that, they feel that they're not being treated right. There's no jobs in Gaza. They got to go all the way to Israel just to get a job. They got to go through these checkpoints, which is stressful. The electricity is controlled by Israel. The water, which they say is not good, is controlled by Israel. What is your thoughts about that?
I don't think they care about water. I don't think they care about their residents, their citizens being able to drink water. You know why I say that? Because they took the pipes, the plumbing that people gave to them. Okay, they were given free pipes. These mythical Palestinians are among the most privileged refugees in the world. They get billions in aid. They get billions in medical supplies, billions in metal to create pipes, billions of dollars for cement to create buildings and industry. And then they complain they don't have jobs. Well, they don't have jobs because they took the money and they built tunnels. This is what they did. This is what they've been doing since 2008. So instead of building industry, they built militaristic underground terrorist tunnels underneath Gaza, north and south, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles of terrorist tunnels. Now, are Jews allowed to go into Gaza? What do you think would happen if a Jew came to Gaza and said, I'd like to maybe like work as maybe a store clerk? Do you think I can work in your store? What do you think would happen to him?
If
They would, go ahead.
if someone from Israel comes to work in their store,
Yeah.
well, being that the relationship is not good. I mean, are there some people from Israel that go to Gaza?
No.
Wow.
Because they're not allowed there. If they go into Gaza, they'll be probably hung in the middle of the street. If there's an LGBT representative in Gaza, they will be publicly hung. If they even get involved in that, they will be hung on the spot. There's no tolerance for that. If somebody, if let's say a Christian came into, no, well, I'm not going to go that far. So go ahead.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that this checkpoint is basically security, right? Is that to just make sure that people are not carrying bombs and stuff like that into Israel? Is that the purpose for this here, or what is the purpose for the?
Yeah, it's for security. If you go back since the beginning, like since 1929, before Israel became a state, they massacred Jews. So they massacred Jews before Israel was a state, before 1948. That's when it became a state. They massacred Jews after that. They massacred Jews throughout the I'd say from 1929 through the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s till today. They've been massacring Jews. So they have to have that security. They can't.
Oh, they have to have it. Okay.
So they have to have it.
So is it safe to say that these the Palestinians or Hamas wants to annihilate Jewish people?
They want to annihilate the Jewish race. They want to capture Israel from the river all the way to the sea, from one end of Israel to the other. They don't want any Jews living there. They claim they will let Jews live there, but there's no Jews living in Gaza. There's no Jews living in the West Bank. They will not allow Jews to live. This is just talk. They want to exterminate the Jews. It's not even about land. They want to exterminate the Jewish people. When they say the quote, Palestine must be free, quote unquote, from the river to the sea, that means they want to destroy all of Israel from the river to the sea, all the Jews from the river to the sea.
Now, let me ask you this real quick. I just got a text just now, and somebody asked me to ask you this question.
Sure.
You remember 9/11?
Yes.
Of course. Was there were countries that were celebrating the fall of 9/11. Was Palestine one of those countries?
Well, there is no Palestine, but the people who are calling themselves, that's okay. No, that's all right.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Because that's what the media calls it, and you have to call it Palestine. But right. For my purposes, I'm going to say mythical Palestinians. The ones in West Bank, Gaza was not yet there. I mean, it was there, but it was not populated by the mythical Palestinians. They were celebrating in the West Bank. They were jumping up and down with joy. and they were also jumping up and down with joy in all parts of the world. In the West Bank, in Gaza, there's videos of them dancing in the street, giving candy out, celebrating October 7th, the massacres of babies being burned in ovens. So if that's like a military strategy, then these people are not human beings. They're just simply evil people. I don't mean to dehumanize anyone, but
Well,
anyone that could celebrate that has to be evil.
well, I mean, here from the African American community, I speak from. I guess I speak for myself. I don't speak for all African Americans, but I'm just saying this, right? A lot of people have have had nightmares and dreams of falling from a building, right? You know, as they've grown up, right? And I can't imagine just anybody, but you know, just to know that someone that I knew was in that building, that's upsetting to me. And it's not, and it had nothing to do with them, right?
Exactly.
And the thing, but that's the only that well, it's not the only thing, but that's one of the things that I have a problem with is that if we're going to if you're going to fight somebody, fight that person. Don't shoot the little kid. Bring the fight to
Right.
that person.
Correct.
Don't go out and kill a whole bunch of people. Because now, because see, in where I'm from, if you kill somebody I know, we're coming back for you. You
Yeah.
know,
Eye
we're
for
coming,
an eye, tooth for a tooth, King
right.
Hammurabi.
We're coming
Yeah.
back for
See
you.
what
Then
you're saying.
you have some Christians that'll just turn the other cheek and just won't come
Yep.
for you. But the majority of people
Yep.
will come for you.
Yeah,
So
even President Obama said that you can't win wars by turning the other cheek. That evil will not be defeated by turning the other cheek. Remember, he said that in one of his speeches, and he was right.
and then they look at people as collateral damage. Okay. And see, that's where, because I can be collateral damage one day. You understand what I'm saying? And so, hey, Barb, how you doing? How's everything? Good to see you, hon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Barb is in the
Yeah.
building.
Hi,
Yeah.
Barbara. But as far as collateral damage goes, I don't know the true numbers of any collateral damage, if there are any. If there are, I feel very bad for them. But the collateral damage is part of war. You can't fight this war on an even playing field because they're shooting at a church, they're shooting at a mosques, out of hospitals, out of schools. They're shooting. They just found artillery in a boys' club. There was artillery all over the place, like RPGs and all this stuff, grenades inside the damn boys' club in South Gaza. They uncovered that. It's not an even playing field. They're shooting from buildings. They're shooting. They're coming from tunnels. They go in and out. They go in like a rat, out like a rat, and they go back in. It's not a regular. It's not like the person's fighting an army, and then they fire thousands of rockets over people's homes, shoot from their own homes, mosques, and schools. It's not a conventional war. The launching pads from schools. It's not a regular war. And how can you do it proportionally? How can you say, well, I'm going to make this a proportionate response? What's the proportionate response? Go into Gaza and put their children in ovens and light their elderly on fire, decapitate some heads on women, children, and men. Is that proportionate enough? Maybe Israel should have just took I don't know how many they killed, like maybe I don't know the number, but it was somewhere over 1,500. Maybe they should just take 1,500 people, decapitate them, burn them.
Well, I
and
mean,
slaughter them. Maybe that's proportional.
we could say that, what I'm saying? We don't want to see nothing like that happening.
Of course not.
You understand what I'm saying? But Barb just joined in, and she's, I wanted to get Barb up to date. We're having a conversation about the situation over in Israel and Gaza, and there's just a lot going on, and as a person living here in the States, looking and seeing the horrific uh, killings and going on over there is just out of it's crazy. And again, no matter what side it is, it's just doesn't it's not good. Killing is not good. You know
It's
what I
not
mean?
good. It's not good. No, killing, thou shalt not kill.
Right. So and or right there, you mess right there. That's a violation of God. Thou shalt not kill. Kill. So I mean, are we following the Bible? Are we following the word? So I mean, everything it's about money. It's about position, and it's just we're in a time now that again, we could be going into World War III with this.
We could be going into World War III. I
But
believe we're going to come out ahead. I really do. I'm positive on it. I know it's dangerous. I mean, Israel has nuclear weapons, and if they go too far, if they start shooting these guided missiles into Israel from, let's say, Lebanon, let's say Iran is financing all this, they're directing it, and the Lebanese people, they're just like the puppets. The Syrian people, they're like the puppets of Iran, and they shoot the guided missiles into Israel. Those are a little more fortified, those missiles. They're more serious missiles.
Right.
They can be blown up, but they're really serious. All missiles are serious.
No, they all
now
are.
we're getting like into some different types of missiles that spread out further. They do more damage. Then Israel's going to get out its nuclear artillery and they're going to start using it. And then there's going to be masses that die. They're going to hit Iran. They're going to hit whoever's hitting them. They're going to get the leaders. They're going to go right for Iran, and a lot of people are going to get nuked.
Barb says it all boils down to money. That's what Barb is saying. Yeah,
I say, Barbara,
Ethiopia.
there's a lot of money. There's a lot of greedy money going around, Barbara. But I think it has more to do with just plain hate. It's a real simple thing. It's good against evil.
Well, I mean, do we say when we violate the 10 Commandments, right? So is that still good? On anybody's part?
No, it's not good to violate the 10 Commandments. The question is, are we violating it in war? And that you have to really ask.
I mean, we're violating it.
I mean, a good priest or a rabbi will be able to answer that better than I can answer that.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, this is what we're living in this world, and I just hope the best for for this, the people in that area. I hope that again, I want to get different kinds of more information about what's transpiring, different sides, speak to people that, have experience it hands-on, so that we can, I mean, like you said, in the top of the show, you said there will be no peace, and it's unfortunate that it's been like that. There's been a fight in the Middle East for years. And
for years. Nobody wants to. I mean, look, the world hates Jews too. We know that. But in addition to that, and I am Jewish, but in addition to that, countries won't accept immigrants from Gaza. They will not accept it. They came to Gaza back in the 70s. I mean, they came not from Gaza. They came from Israel to the country is Jordan in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
King Abdullah, who was married to the king's son, Abdullah Jr., he's married to a Palestinian. He doesn't want the Palestinians there. His father took a bulldozer and bulldozed 30,000 houses down that belonged to the quote unquote mythical Palestinians. He bulldozed them down. He said enough is enough because they were committing all kinds of crime there. Countries don't want them. They will accept Jews nowadays. People don't like Jews, but they will allow them to live there because they're kind of like a peaceful people. They don't cause violence and stuff like that.
Why don't people like Jews?
People hate Jews. It just really goes back to biblical times. It goes back to the fight between the two brothers, Esau and Jacob.
And so, me personally, I don't have anything against Jewish people. I don't have anything against Palestinian people. I don't have anything against anybody. You know what I'm saying? It's about the
Yeah.
individual, and it's about how you come towards me and how you
Yes.
deal with me. You know,
Yes.
when it comes down to, um, whose side am I on? I'm on my culture side.
Yeah,
Okay.
you have to look out for your culture
Yeah.
because that's your family,
Yeah.
and
Because
we want you and your family to excel.
yeah,
We're
and
not.
and
Everyone does. I hope everyone does.
no, that's a fact. That's a fact. And I want my culture to excel, my people to excel. You know, we just need to come together a little bit more and kind of look at, some of the ways that you guys, stick together. We have to have some kind of a bonding, and instead of shooting and killing each other and doing things that, and not everybody is doing that. Not everybody is shooting and killing. We have a lot of educated and motivated African American people out there in this world today, but we need to come together. We need to address mental illness, address, these situations in our lives, the mistakes that we've made, understand the system, understand coming together is that's where the knowledge will be able to work out. Barb says, I just don't understand the hate against Israel. Is it jealousy? She also says, I have a lot of close friends who are Jewish and they are wonderful people. Yeah.
I'd say most Jewish people are wonderful people. Not all of them. I can say that they hate the Jews just because there really is no valid justification. I mean, why did Hitler kill all those Jews? He came up with ideas. He said that the Jews were making money off of World War One, and that they weren't they weren't they weren't doing the work that the Germans did. It could have been bits and pieces of that were true. Maybe I don't know if they were financing World War One. He said that. Were they doing the work that Germans did? Well, Jews were in World War One on the German side. There were many Jews serving for World War One. They were really patriotic Germans. So
Right.
a lot of it was made up. Why do they hate the Jews? Why? I mean, really. So there's no valid reason why Hitler hated the Jews. He said he was an Aryan. Hitler really wasn't Aryan. His grandfather was really Jewish because his father's name was Aloy, and his mother, Alois Hitler's mother, had an affair with a Jewish factory owner and got pregnant by him and had Alois, and then Alois had Hitler. And Hitler did not have blonde hair. He was actually Bavarian. Like that's kind of like Austrian, which is not the same as German. It's close, but it's not the same. It's not really Aryan. He had black hair. He didn't have blonde hair.
Right.
And plus he had the Jewish in him. So he hated Jews because they weren't Aryan. Like, is that a valid reason? No, because he was not Aryan. So that couldn't have been it. Like you can go for hours and years trying to figure out why Hitler hated the Jews and why people hate the Jews. And the only thing that makes any sense is that it's just good against evil. There's no other justification for it.
Well, I know that one thing is that's for sure is that it's affecting the young people as well. As I go on my travels, I run into a lot of people, in different nationalities, and this young Jewish girl had changed her whole mode. We were talking and having a good time, and at one minute, the next minute, her whole face changed when I spoke the conversation of the war. And so this is affecting. Will affect generations. This is a historical moment, and many things are happening in this world that's historical. A lot of people take the news for granted, take things for granted. Shouldn't do that. But we only got like 5 more minutes, man, to jam
Okay.
out. But is there anything else that you'd like to add, to the situation? Maybe an idea besides, like, because there's a lot of racial dissension going on in the United States of America, where we are, and it's not only playing out in that side of the world, but it's coming home and it's playing out here with violence here.
Yeah, there's violence here. You don't see our side doing the same thing as their side. Someone with a megaphone hit a Jew in the head. They were out on the street. The Jew had an Israel flag, and the Palestinians had their flag. They didn't like the Jewish flag, so he smacked a headphone into an elderly Jewish person's head and killed him.
Well, that's allegedly.
So
That's
what's that?
allegedly. That's allegedly because they have not. I saw that today, and they have not gotten the autopsy. I mean, not the autopsy, but the medical examiner has not finished it. But he did classify it as a homicide because of the there's a marking. Not only did he have blunt trauma in the back, he also had some kind of a trauma in the front, which was not life threatening. So they still have to investigate that. I just want to make sure we don't get in trouble and just say,
Right.
you know what I
Right.
mean?
I heard the word blunt force. The cause of death was blunt force. So if we need to wait for further reports, then so be it. We can
Yeah.
call it an accusation for now, and
Now,
wait
yeah.
for the result. Wait for more results to come in. I thought that was a result, but I could be mixed up. So let's wait.
And there's a lot of people. Spread peace is definitely the word. Barb. Yes, blunt force trauma definitely. Barb. Now, again, as the world turns, we see different scenarios, different situations play out. But somewhere, somehow, I think that we have to find some kind of peace. And whether it comes today, tomorrow, next week, it has to come somewhere or another. Or this might spiral into something bigger than what we have right now.
Yep.
And we've already having problems with Russia. We're already having problems with China. And now this here, we're spreading ourselves, all over this world. But for the reason why, I guess, is because we're part of that UN group that actually sticks together and fights together. And as Zelensky wants to be a part of the UN and hold a position, there as well. So listen, I mean,
Yeah, he wants to be part of NATO, right?
NATO, right? Yeah, thank you. You know what? I just hope for the best. And so we got to get out of here.
Okay.
I just want to thank you for taking the time to come aboard and speaking, your truth and speaking of what, you feel in your heart. This is what the platform is for, like it really is with Maurice. We're thankful and we're grateful, for everything that we have. Even Brother Sholom coming in, we're thankful and grateful for him coming in and speaking. People don't have to do this, but you took the time to do it, and I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me on as well.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for watching this. I hope you got something from it, and I hope that it changes something in your thought pattern. It's something that we need to really think about and really hold dear to our hearts. When it comes down to change, and which is very hard. But I just want to say, just be thankful and grateful for everything. Good night, Barb. Yes, definitely, Barb. Thank you so much for stopping in. I appreciate you. Remember, everybody, like and subscribe to the channel. Listen. All right. So listen, everybody. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of the show. Remember, be thankful and grateful for everything that you got, because you never know when it's going to go. Until next time, Stay blessed. Stay in your truth and keep your head up.
Salute, kid. Always. Always thankful and grateful. And stay blessed. You heard? So blessed. So are you. Yeah. I love myself. I love my life. I love my kids. I love my wife. I'm positive. I try to do what's right. I respect darkness, but rather live in light. Yo, I love my fam. I love my mom. I love my community. I love God. I love unity. He died for you and me. I always be thankful and grateful. Wouldn't you be? Sing it, Queen.